Hello, friends of HWB, and welcome to my meeting, or rather a brief interview with Executive Director Denise Cusack. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Petra. I am on the Board of Directors and serve as Chair. And Denise is soon to be, unfortunately, leaving from the position as Executive Director. But I wanted to give her the opportunity to kind of share with you her path and her journey with HWB. So Denise, welcome. And I know that I speak for everybody when I say we're so sorry to see you transitioning out, but also really excited to see what you're going to be doing. So how long have you been, sorry, how long have you been part of HWB?
I think I joined, it was maybe in 2014 or so, but I know I actually started getting more involved when I started designing the website. I started working with Gigi because I had website experience and I redid the whole website and we created like online forums and all of that. So I had spent almost a full year working with Gigi really closely, just doing website design, social media marketing and all of that, trying to get us up to like the modern times here a little bit. I think when I joined, it was still people mailing in paper membership forms and things like that. So it was kind of like our first foray into really inexpensive because we're so small, but also, you know, functionality wise being online and working remotely. Yeah. So that's when, so that was like 2015, you know, 16 and probably then into 2017, you know, was all of those years before I talked to Gigi about this position.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, and that's something that we talk about in our little in our website, and we always say that we're grassroots and small but look big. But you know, I think everybody, you know, doesn't realize that you're actually most of the driving force behind the things that get done on HWB. So we do have, of course, our board of directors, we do have wonderful volunteers, but Denise has been the one really driving things forward all these years. So it's really great to have people, you know, get to know you. And we're also going to be introducing the new executive director in a couple of weeks. So what was it that led you to serve as executive director? And then what was it like to serve as executive director?
I know, you're like trying not to hear your chickens. I have chickens too, so it's all good.
It's egg time. I got them right outside my window. I'm thinking,
yes, yeah, me too. But yeah, you know, it's when I first started looking at Herbalists Without Borders, it was kind of looking to see how I could work in my own community. In my own family, we had already started a project called the Happy Flower Project, where we grew flowers just for the food pantry and delivered them so people could have something beautiful on their table. And we then started growing a lot of herbs and donating a lot of food to the local food pantry. And, you know, I was kind of like, well, gosh, you know, how do you incorporate kind of that herbal side, you know, in all of that we're really into as a family, along with, you know, food justice and healthy food access. Yeah. And so that's why I was like, wow, it has all of these things, you know, it's kind of all of the above. And so when I came into this role of executive director, like you said, I kind of do everything, but you know how it is. It's a small organization. I think when I started, you know, we had under 100 and now we have, you know, almost 600, which still is very small compared to most nonprofits. But, you know, even just growing that, as anybody who volunteers knows, you know, generally, if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. So that's kind of like how it works in nonprofits as well. And, you know, we have all of these wonderful volunteers working in their own communities, but then someone has to support all of them where they are. And so that's kind of how this evolved. You know, most of what I do day to day with Herbalists Without Borders was seeing a need and going, well, who else is going to do it but me? Which is good and bad. And that's where I think it's really important for people to step up and volunteer where they are passionate and where they have skills. Because with things like that, like we saw a need that we needed seed grants and we could get seeds and share them out with folks rather than having 100 different chapters writing to the same, you know, 20 seed companies, having one central location where we did that for the whole US, and then also working to see if other countries could set up something similar. So what happened is now I get seeds here at my house, you know, every year, and I distribute thousands of packets of seeds out to all the HWB groups every year. And it's the same with the supplies. You know, we were hitting like one of my first, I think it was literally, I had just finished training and hadn't even really been official. And I got a call at like, 8 a.m. on a Sunday while I was on the road on a road trip of someone in a hurricane going, what, I need to talk to you now. We literally pulled over on the side of the road while I was talking to this person because we were at the highest point. So I had cell coverage. And I was like, okay, well, we need to get supplies, and we need supplies that are useful. And, you learn from all of these things that happen. And that's when we created the U.S. Donation Distribution Network. Of course, it sounds big. Jocelyn was just saying that the other day. She's like, it sounds like we have a warehouse and staff. And it's like, it's me.
No,
and,
it's just,
in my house.
Denise in the basement.
Right, it is. Yeah,
So,
I have a nice basement, but it's a basement. Yes.
Sorry. On
okay.
to that, then, would you say that was your proudest moment with HWB, or do you think was there another moment that you were like, this is the best moment for me?
Actually, I think the best moment is growing a nonprofit to the point where I can hand it off to someone and someone else can take over this role, and we can have, honestly, I know a lot of people don't like the idea of paid staff, but to have someone who is going to be able to be compensated for their labor, because I put that first couple of years, I was putting in 2,400 hours a year or something like that volunteering. So that is a huge accomplishment to grow from only volunteers and doing it all myself to having other people that are helping, doing support, having other volunteers step up, have someone else who can step into this role who actually gets compensated. It's not full-time, but that hopefully will be in the future. A part-time role doing this work, that's huge.
Yeah, that's a lot of growth.
And that's my proudest moment, because I think that's important for someone. I know that was one of my goals with the transition plan, is knowing that, I'm not going to be in this role forever. And it's also healthy for nonprofits to have new people, to have it grow and have other visions and ideas and input and perspectives. And you can't do that if someone's working, who's going to come in and go, yeah, you know what, I want to work 2,400 hours for free a year. And it's not reasonable. It's not normal. And, on one hand, I've been totally willing to do that, to grow it to here. But I think it's important that if we're here, then that needs to be manageable within a reasonable amount of hours per week for people, with other volunteers helping support. And it doesn't burn people out, and that's part of that pride too, is like getting it to a place where we have enough functionality of things being able to kind of like go forward without it totally burning people out.
Yeah, as the saying goes, many hands make light work, right?
Exactly.
So we're always looking for more hands.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm sure many people are wondering this, but are you leaving HWB forever? Is this goodbye? And what are you doing next?
Actually, I'm not leaving forever. I would never do that to Jocelyn. I am, one of the areas, of course, is just like I said, I do have the U.S. Mutual Aid Network based out of my house here. So I'm still going to continue to take in donations from around the country and ship them out every Monday, or maybe every other Monday, however that works. And so, yeah, exactly. And so I will be doing that still. I do grow, a lot of things here for Herbalists Without Borders that will continue. And the seed grants, actually Jocelyn really loves seeds, so she might want to do that. That's her thing. But, I'm still going to be here to help and offer support and make sure it's a smooth transition, and that, Jocelyn has all of the support that she needs. And, I think it's really important, though, that, I step away in a way that allows Jocelyn to actually take that ownership and leadership and kind of make it her own. So I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm kind of stepping away, but I'm here just to still, it's really that I'm stepping back and transitioning into other ways that I can support Herbalists Without Borders, while allowing Jocelyn to have her own vision and, drive for the organization.
That's wonderful. And then, I'm sure I speak for everybody when we say we're sorry to see you go, but we're also really excited for Jocelyn. Is there any closing message you'd like to offer our HWB members, coordinators, and volunteers?
Well, I think it's interesting that you kind of mentioned that we're small, but people think we're big. And that is one of those things. It's really good in that people can get a lot of visibility for the projects they do. But we are really small and grassroots. We have a very tiny budget, so tiny, and so having a lot of people think that when they come into the organization as members, we're just this massive machine. And it really is just a few core central people doing all the work to keep it running. And so that's why we do need volunteers. And, it doesn't have to be, 100 hours a month. It doesn't need to be 2,400 hours a year.
No.
It needs to just, even a few hours of people who can help out with like blog posts or with our webinar series or calling donors or, like for potential product donations or, things like that, even doing office support or finding other ways that you can help support the core. Because, we have this global network of people around the whole world, and it takes a lot of work to try to support people where they're at with what they're doing. A lot of what we try to do, we always say we don't want every single person to have to reinvent the wheel wherever they are. So we try to make these systems and like models that people can replicate in their own areas. And, having people that can just step in and help like share that information or, train people as well. All of those things are so needed. And so, even if it's 2 hours a week, that's amazing and can help a lot.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, HWB has always been about education, outreach, community, diversity, and, we want to keep that going. And the more volunteers, the more faces, the more opinions even that we have on how things can be done better and how things can change, the better we become. So I'll second that call for more volunteers. So Denise, thank you so much for sitting down with me, for doing this little interview, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And I also can't wait to introduce Jocelyn to everybody soon as well.
Yeah, she's amazing. And she's been, under this role already, kind of learning the ropes for 9 months now. So she's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.